Dude, oh my god, my bangs are against me today. Hi, howdy. If you're watching this video, that means that you want some leg day warm-up ideas, meaning that you want to include some different moves that might address issues such as mobility into your warm-up. So if you are struggling with that, for example, you're doing back squat, right? If you're struggling to hit deeper range of motion, you're trying to go deeper in the move, but you physically cannot put yourself in that position without losing everything and putting yourself in harm's way, these moves may help you address those mobility issues. That way you can actually squat deeper confidently and actually maintain the weight safely.
All right, so going right into it, foam rollers. You might see a lot of people using these as tools for warming up on their leg days, and research shows that they are beneficial in terms of warming up the muscle, activating the muscle, but we also have to address mobility, and foam rollers don't really help with that. So, as a way to work against that, we're going to introduce these moves. Number one being hamstring stretch to deep squat. So this move is actually perfect for anyone who is struggling to get a deep squat. If you know for a fact on the descent portion of your squat, you just struggle with limited range of motion and it's just super tight when you hit that bottom portion. This is perfect to throw into your warm-ups, especially on leg days. You can throw it into your upper body days too. It's actually just a wonderful move to practice even when you're not doing a warm-up. What you want to do is practice hitting that deep squat position and holding it. So what you can actually do is throw in holds as well to make sure you're practicing getting full range of motion. All right, so the next move we're gonna do right now is we're setting up for the banded joint mobilizations, aka the ankle mobility exercise from the heavens, because this move is wonderful if you know for a fact you're super tight at that ankle joint when you're trying to do squats, for example. This move is perfect for addressing that issue. So what you want to do is you want to hold it for about maybe 30 seconds to 1 minute each side. What you're doing is you're putting an active resistance, or I guess, would it be passive? Passive resistance? I believe so. Because basically what you're doing is setting it up at that joint to where it's forced to really have to pull on the joint. And you're also bending the knee over the toes. Thus, you will adapt to being able to hopefully get deeper in your squats because the knee will track over the toes much easier, if that makes sense. All right, next we have the 90-90 stretch, which is basically, I call it the box stretch as well, just because you end up making a box. If you see right there with the knees to the ankle joints, you're always having a box at the end of the motion itself. So what you want to do, this is a great hip opener stretch if you know for a fact your hip flexors or you're just like naturally tight in that hip crease. This is a wonderful move to work through any tightness you might be feeling there. Before I forget, I wanted to also include a little variation. It's not a huge little add-on, but basically if you're really tight in your hip flexors or just in the hip joint in general, and going into flexion, extension, it's just uncomfortable throughout the whole movement. What I want you to do is maybe try this variation right here, where you're basically allowing the body to naturally rotate with the movement instead of, trying to stay straight and keep the upper body relatively straight. This should feel a little bit more natural and a little bit more, nicer on the joint. This next move requires a kettlebell, typically a heavy one, but you could go for a light one as well. What you're gonna do is use it as an anchor almost, and this is the Kettlebell Hip Shift. This exercise is perfect for working through the full range of motion of the hip. So what you're doing is hip flexion and extension here. If you go more to the side, it's going to really feel like a deeper stretch. If you have the foot more in front of you, it's going to be a little bit easier, especially if you're tight in that area. So this move really helps address any issues in that region. This is the last move on the roster today. This is world's greatest stretch, and honestly it is the world's greatest stretch because it's a full body exercise which works the chest, works the back, works the hips, because obviously you're holding lunge stance while twisting away from the body and rotating through that core. So if you're tight any day, you can use this any day. So I also threw on a bonus move, and it's going to be the standing banded hip abductions. Now, the reason I threw this in is because I think it's important to just make sure you activate your glutes before a leg day in general. It's just honestly a smart move for anyone to do that, especially if you know you have pretty inactive glutes or you just don't feel it during your major compounds, this is something you can do that might make that much of a difference, in your warm-up. So other than that, that is it for this leg day warm-up video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.